Greetings and welcome to what I believe is officially the 24th Morrowind Modding Interviews episode. And with me today is Templar Tribe of the Tamriel Rebuilt team, and we're going to be discussing a bit about Tamriel Rebuilt and all of that today. And first things first, going into a few intro questions, if it's alright. We'll start out with a few basic questions and then get into the more general Tamriel Rebuilt questions. The first of which is, when did you first start playing Morrowind and the Elder Scrolls in general?
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So probably started playing it back, I don't know, like right when it first came out on Xbox, and I had it on Xbox for a really long time. Played it, beat it multiple times, and then finally got it on computer because I think I had actually like seen pictures of Tamriel Rebuilt like originally when they first started working. It really intrigued me that people were able to add more to this already really big game.
Oh yeah, Morrowind was kind of the first really big modding community that I know of at around the turn of the century there, and there was a lot of press coverage back then of major modding projects like Tamriel Rebuilt and Sea of Destiny and all that.
Yeah, no doubt. The turn of the millennium, but yeah, no doubt. It was definitely, such an interesting time because for me, I know that I was young, like it's crazy to think how as time has gone on, all these years later, we're still here kind of just plugging away, making our original dreams a reality.
Oh yeah, it's been what 14 years. It really kind of makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the interesting things too that I like to think about is maybe as time has gone on and everyone that's been involved in the project of Tamriel Rebuilt has gotten a little bit older. As you get older, your mindset kind of changes and your beliefs kind of change. And I think it really kind of reflects on the way that the entire project has changed over the years, where it's a much more defined kind of overall goal now. And I think that it might be part of because, as we've all gotten older and experienced things and changed the way that we feel about certain things and everything like that, it just kind of all plays into the overall shaping of the mod and of what we truly want, our overall vision.
Oh yeah, and a lot of that is, just experience. I mean, I remember my first mods in 2003 were like, oh gosh, they were terrible. It's like as you work as a modder, your quality standards go up and up. And, I understand with Tamriel Rebuilt, there was this major shift towards quality, like I think in the mid 2000s or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean that that's definitely true. Um, you hone your skills and then you make sure that there's processes in place to kind of help create a consistency, I guess, in the overall scheme of how the mod's put together. There was kind of a hodgepodge or a mishmash of quality originally, but I mean, the way that we've taken certain actions and made sure that guidelines are in place and made sure that people have to make a showcase to prove themselves before they can just start adding things into the mod. There's not too much of remnants of the original kind of anarchy, I guess you could say, that was at play in the earlier years of the development.
Oh yeah, I remember Haplo mentioned in the interview we did with him last year that he estimated that there might be one or two interiors from the early 2000s still in the project, but almost everything else has been scrapped and replaced.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where as we continue on the project and eventually one day it'll get completed. There's some naysayers out there that are like, "Oh, they'll never complete it." And I can put money on the fact that it'll eventually one day get done, but as we get further down our pipeline and start having a defined vision of, okay, this is what we're going to do now, this is what we have in the works next, and this is what's going to happen eventually down the road. I we're wanting to go back to redo some of the earlier things as well in Telvannis. Not that it's bad right now, but we just know that it could be a little bit better, be a little bit more up to par with what we've put out recently.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of jokes that Tamriel Rebuilt will never get done, but to my mind, surviving 14 years as a modding team is probably proof enough that you guys are going to get the job done eventually. I mean, not that many modding teams or even modding communities survive 14 years, and the fact that Tamriel Rebuilt continues to move on is really evidence of the project's strength, I think.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Nomi put it best when he was kind of like, well, if it comes down to it, it could be a one-man team and just one person working on it. No matter what, someone somewhere out there will pick up the reins if all else falls, and let's just say nobody else wanted to work on it. There'll be one person that somewhere out there will pick it up and, and start working on it. So even if it just has to get done by one person, it'll eventually get done. That's my belief as well.
Anyway, going back to a few of our other intro questions here, have you made any mods outside of working on the Tamriel Rebuilt project?
I have, yes. I put out originally a couple retextures. I've worked on Midget Alien had a mod, big huge mod thing that he was doing. And I honestly forget the name of it, unfortunately. But he had a big mod that he was working on to kind of redo everything. It was kind of like Morrowind Rebirth before the Morrowind Rebirth ever really came out. But I did a few things on that as well. Some like interiors, redid some ancestral tombs, and then I actually had a resource pack that I put out that had tapestries with William Blake paintings on them. It was like really easy stuff to make, but it was just me kind of getting my feet wet. And then I I was working on two things. One was a pretty big thing where I was gonna add a lot of hidden kind of things throughout the world, and I I, I started working on that a long time ago. Never get done, but I was trying to integrate necessities of Morrowind into the mainland, um, and for Tamriel Rebuilt, just to kind of make it a little bit more seamless of a transition. Um, but yeah, I still work on it from time to time, but it'll probably never get done. There's a lot of work to do with it.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of surprised actually to hear that you've worked on mods outside of Tamriel Rebuilt. It seems like a lot of the province modders that I meet tend to be solely focused on the province mods they're working on and don't really dabble too much in smaller mods.
Oh yeah, and I'm not the most talented modder anyway, so that's why. But it's just because I really like the game. I wanna help like get my favorite mods for Vardenfell, help get them brought over to the mainland. So that's why I was working on that Necessities of Morrowind kind of plug-in, I guess you could say, to make more of the experience that you get with Necessities of Morrowind enjoyable over on the mainland. And then I've also wanted to do a redo of Mackham's heads, get it get all of the heads for Tamriel Rebuilt redone for it, and Robert's bodies put on, make it kind of, because I mean, as of right now, there's a mod that puts Robert's bodies and Mackham's heads together, but the colors are just off. Like all of the races, just I don't know, they look different. The colors just aren't right. So I was wanting to try and figure out, okay, how can I make them look more vanilla? The dark elves need to look more ashen, more dark. The wood elves look too orange. I mean, it's just, I guess it might just be a personal thing, but I was trying to work on that as well, but it's very hard because I don't have any modeling experience or anything like that.
This sort of goes into my next question, and that's what draws you to modding video games?
Well, modding for Morrowind, it's just because I love it, and I think it's very interesting, almost like amazing, really, that Bethesda gave us these tools to do whatever we wanted to, basically, with their game. And it's a concept that at the time when Morrowind came out, for me, it was totally unheard of. I mean, like I said, I was young, I guess, when Morrowind came out, but and that's really what it is with Tamriel Rebuilt. I mean, there's thousands upon thousands of unique downloads for that mod, and it really is humbling to kind of think that there's people out there that are walking around every day in that game, that this old game, that are walking around the lands that we've built and enjoying the quests that we've had put in there and enjoying the scenery, fighting with new weapons and armor that we've put in there. So it's really just a passion thing, just wanting to spread the love of this game.
Oh yeah, and moving into some general Tamriel Rebuilt questions, what's your role and position at Tamriel Rebuilt, and what is it you typically do at TR?
Ha! Uh, um, I don't even know what I would say my role is. Really, my role is just I do some dialogue, and literature mainly nowadays anyway, and I also kind of help with the overall vision of what we're looking for. We have the weekly meetings where it could be discussing really big important things like what are we going to do with the dress lands, or what are we going to do with House Dress, or what are we going to do with Sindoral, all the way down to small things like website maintenance and things like that. So, I want to stay active with helping out and giving input. But I mean, I think that my main real title there is just to be I don't know, a stick in the mud sometimes, I guess I would say. I'm always kind of the one that throws out really weird ideas, and hopefully people at Tamriel Rebuilt are like, oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh yeah, speaking of lore and dialogue, that's really something that the project always needs more of, isn't it? They always need more writing for NPCs and books and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Always use more of everything. And even as far as for lore, I mean, there's a lot that we still need to explore with House Dress, and we have a really good overall idea and a lot of stuff that we've already said, okay, this is really good, so we're gonna use this. But there's always room for ideas and room for even little tiny tidbits of background information.
Now, how long would you say you've been with the Tamriel Built project so far?
Too long. I'm just kidding. For a really long time though. I want to say anywhere from like late 2005 to early 2006 is when I first joined the forums and put in a showcase and everything like that. And there's been, like stretches of time where I haven't been as active, but I've always been, checking in on it, seeing how the progress is going. So for like 10 years now, yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, the mid 2000s. That was a pretty active time for Tamriel Rebuilt. They had the sort of ill-fated Oblivion project for Hammerfell going on at the same time as the Morrowind's mainland and all that.
Yeah, and I don't really, to be honest, I don't know too much about it because it was there for a while, part of Tamriel Rebuilt, but then it kind of split off and did its own thing. And I was never really too interested in it. I was always way more into Morrowind than Oblivion anyway.
Oh yeah, that's a fairly typical response, I think, of most of the Morrowind players and modders that are still in the community these days.
Yeah, and it really comes down to the fact that there's nothing wrong with Oblivion if you put a lot of mods into it, because there are some really really good mods out there for Oblivion that it's just the same amount of effort and work and dedication has gone into those mods. But just as far as like the vanilla game, it's just not, it was never as enjoyable to me, and I never really got into the modding community for Oblivion. I always enjoyed a lot of the mods that came out for it, but I was never as active or interested in it as I was for Morrowind's.
Oh yeah, Oblivion's base vanilla game was just full of all sorts of problems. I really think they just rushed it a little too much when they were making it. I mean, they were doing this whole deadline to try and make it to the Xbox 360 launch, and I think a lot of content and gameplay suffered as a result.
I did an interview with Zarek Zahakaron where we kind of discussed that, and the overall change of Bethesda as a company. And my thoughts on it are that Morrowind was made at a very particular time where Bethesda was big enough as a company where they were able to have the team of people that could put out Morrowind in a decent amount of time with good talent, but it was just small enough where they could get away with a lot of the weird stuff that they put in. And then as it got bigger, they kind of cater to the masses a little bit more now because they have a lot of, they have a lot of suit and tie people that are all about profit. So they're a profitability company now. And, not to say that that's a bad thing because, hey, everyone's got to make money, right? It's what makes the world go round. But you lose a lot of the charm that you get from a smaller company where they're doing things because they love it, not because it's going to create a big paycheck. So Morrowind was really a one of a kind special circumstance where they were just big enough to be able to have all the craziness and zaniness ended, but still small enough to justify putting it into the game and having all of the mechanics that they did and everything like that.
Oh yeah, and Morrowind was really kind of a big gamble. They were basically betting everything on Morrowind because people forget, but at the time, Bethesda Softworks was basically at the edge of bankruptcy. I mean, Morrowind would have been their final game if it hadn't been a commercial success.
Yeah, I know it, and that's a really interesting thing, and that might be a big reason of why Morrowind is how it is too. They were going for broke, and sometimes that's the best thing that could happen. When you're hungry, is when you really put in the work and the dedication, and when you get success, you tend to forget where your humble beginnings were, and you gotta stay hungry. Point maybe if I had to put my 2 cents into it, I would say, Bethesda as a whole, as a company, they could put out a lot of mediocre games and they'll make a profit off of it. So they just don't really care. And I'm not saying that their games are mediocre, but I am saying that you can definitely see a difference in not only quality, but just overall experience while playing the games. Um, as they've gotten bigger. I mean, when I play Skyrim, just vanilla Skyrim, compared to when I play Daggerfall or vanilla Morrowind, it's a huge difference in just how the games play and how fun it is overall. I find vanilla Skyrim to be kind of like tedious to play. It really is boring to play it, but with mods, yeah, we're really lucky to have as many really high quality mods as we do for Skyrim. But the vanilla content, it's just I don't know. There's something about it where I can wander around aimlessly in Morrowind and love it. It's fun. There's always something to find, and you just get very drawn into the world. And then wandering around aimlessly in Skyrim, you're just like, okay, there's some trees here, there's a mountain there, and now it's snowing, and that's really it.
Oh yeah, I often say that Skyrim is a fun place to visit for like an hour or two before it gets too boring and tedious, and Morrowind is a place that you go to live in, so to speak. So, Skyrim's more of a playground, and Morrowind is home, so to speak.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. And hopefully, with Providence, Cyrodiil, and Skyrim, Home of the Nords, it'll be one of those things where you can make Skyrim if you want to, because you they're going to do it a lot better than Bethesda did, I believe, for both Cyrodiil and for Skyrim. So, and they're currently putting out content. They're hard at work, and we've just actually gotten all of our pieces together to have a comprehensive data file that we're going to share with those other two province mods with Tamriel Rebuilt. So there's a lot of cohesion now between all three of them, which that's going to be really good, and it's going to just make the overall experience way better for people, because we want it to be comprehensive, and we want it to be cohesive, and we want it to seem like all one big gigantic thriving landmass.
Oh yeah, both Skyrim Home of the Nords and Province Cyrodiil have some, really unique characters that they've sort of created. This of Skyrim Home of the Nords especially, that the terrain that they've crafted is really breathtaking. And they've already got so many of these cities built already. It's really kind of amazing just how much of Western Skyrim that you can visit right now.
Yeah, I was just looking last night actually at their forums, at the was it Project Tamriel forums, and yeah, they had some screenshots that they had put up on the Cath Western, I think it's called, area, and I was like, I was really surprised at how many trees they put in there, and how gorgeous everything looks. And I'm really excited for them to put out some more releases, honestly, because I want to go through there. I want to play around, and just have a good time. But one thing that was really interesting to me though was how many trees they put in. I was like, wow, they're really going for pushing the limits on the Morrowind engine, which isn't bad at all. I mean, by all means, I think that Open Morrowind should be the standard when it's finished. And I know that the frame rate issues that you see with vanilla Morrowind engine won't be an issue. So I'm really glad that they're not playing it safe, I guess, so to speak, and using all of the flora sparingly, because from the pictures that I saw, it looks like you could legitimately get lost, and that's a good thing, though. I mean, I always truly enjoy an experience like that, and it's going to be really cool. And even with Province Cyrodiil, they're going to do Cyrodiil how it should have been done, and it's going to be very just very different. Like if you were to put Province Cyrodiil right next to Oblivion, the game, you would think that you'd be like, well, what's Oblivion like? Is it a different province? You wouldn't even think it's the same province, which is going to be really cool. Um, it's kind of, to me, kind of mind blowing that there's so much dedication put into this old game. Like every day, I kind of think about it. Like, I'm like, wow, how many other games out there? How many other communities out there have people that are really just going to work how they are with these province mods?
Oh yeah, the Skyrim province. Oh gosh, the forests there really are quite thick. There's one, the Haffinger Forest, I think it's called, which is sort of north of Markarth, and I've gotten lost there a few times when I've just wandered a little too far north, and the frame rate drops are a bit ridiculous. It's like 5 frames per second, and on the bright side, by the time they release that area, Open Morrowind will be the normal standard issue that everyone will be using, hopefully, so we won't run into all these problems with the Morrowind game engine. But anyway, yeah, it's one of the major and really impressive things is that the province teams, like Tamriel Rebuilt, Province Cyrodiil, Skyrim Home of the Nords, I think they are actually more dedicated to the Elder Scrolls lore than even Bethesda is, because we see Bethesda break lore all the time, but when these teams work on these mods, they really take lore to a gold standard, I think.
Yeah, and all of the different different cultures too. That's the real big problem that I have with Oblivion and Skyrim, that there's really no culture to them. In Oblivion, it's like, oh, you're in the Imperial Province, and that's it. And in Skyrim, it's like, oh, it's full of Nords, and that's it. Like in Skyrim, they at least did a little bit of a better job because you have the Greybeards, which kind of gives a little bit more flavor to it, but it's like not much. It's like a dash of salt in a sea of soup. There's really nothing there to wow you. But yeah, there's a huge lack of culture, and that's the big thing that will make any person who plays Morrowind drawn into it. You have a bunch of different cultures. You have two different religions that are toe to toe with each other. Well, really three if you take the sixth house into account. And there's a lot of uncertainty. That's why I really like Morrowind, because there's 15 sides to every story in that game. You could argue that maybe Dagoth isn't as crazy as he's made out to be. And then you could say, well, each house on Vardenfell has its own personal agenda. That House Raideran's trying to do one thing, House Lalu's trying to do one thing, House Telvanni's trying to do another. So that there's just a severe lack of that in the later games. And I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky, and for the Elder Scrolls 6, Bethesda will kind of change what they've been doing, but we probably won't get lucky, and whatever province the next game is set in, let's say it's gonna be, me personally, I hope it's where the Altmer go, or where the Altmer homeland is. Um, but even if it is set there, Somerset Isles, right? Yeah. Even if it is set there, though, it's probably just gonna be the same thing. It's like, oh, there's a bunch of high elves everywhere, and that's like the amount of culture you're gonna get. But yeah, they definitely are going to do a lot more with the lore and make these cultures a lot more definitive and a lot more interesting than Bethesda did.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of the biggest differences between Morrowind, Skyrim, and Oblivion, is that Morrowind actually had a lot of, well, I guess you'd call it conflict in just about every level of design. I mean, you had the Tribunal, who are basically murderers. You got Daggoth. You've got the Great Houses. You got the Imperials versus the Dunmer. You've got, and even at the base factional level, like with the Guild of Mages and the Guild of Fighters, Thieves Guild, all of them, there's lots of little conflicts here and there with tons of Imperial institutions, native institutions, and everything in between.
Yeah, that's one thing that is really different, I guess I would say, than what you see from a lot of games nowadays. Really, even other RPG games, you've got a lot of intermingling, and that's why I think we're fortunate at Tamriel Rebuilt, because we have such a good framework for Morrowind itself, the base game, the story, that we know that we can take all of those conflicts and then just expand on them for the mainland, because it's kind of like we're working in reverse if you think about it, because Vardenfell was just recently opened to imperialization or settlements, and you get a little taste of the different conflicts that each faction or house has with each other. And then on the mainland, that's been settled for a lot longer than Vardenfell has. So there's been a lot more time for these conflicts to really brew. And so we kind of have to work in reverse and think larger on the scale of like who hates who and who's fighting who's helping who. But that's why I think we're fortunate, because it's really fun. But it's gonna be a lot more of a immersive experience when, by the time we're all said and done with the great houses and quests for them and everything. So that's one thing that I definitely always take into account, is that we've got a lot of good storytelling going for us, and we also have a lot of really good talent as well that helps us out. So it's just gonna be amazing, I think, when it's all said and done.
Oh yeah, and that's a major thing that people forget is that Vardenfell is technically the frontier. It's only been open to colonization and settlement, I think, for about 14 years. And, that's one of the things that drives me crazy is that you have these large towns like Caldera that have been built only very recently, and then in Skyrim, you have entire cities that have supposedly been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they're smaller than the town of Caldera in Morrowind. It completely boggles my mind.
Yeah, I know. And the thing about places in Skyrim is they have no history behind them. They have no culture behind them. Like you could take Riverwood and you could copy and paste it 1,000 times throughout Skyrim, and I don't think I would be able to tell the difference, you know?
Yeah, that's another thing. Even though most of the towns in Vardenfell have only been around for 14 years or so, they do have history, they do have culture, they have personality, and that is something that's distinctly lacking in the later Elder Scrolls games, and, well, especially in terms of size and population, which seems utterly at odds with how important these cities in, like, Skyrim are supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. There's a pretty big disconnect between how for me personally how I viewed Skyrim and how it came out. I wouldn't have minded if Skyrim was just completely frozen over in all different areas, so long as they could do it right. Because look at Vardenfell. I mean, you do have a good range of different environments, but a lot of it is ash and like lava, but it was done so well that it didn't bother you when you're going through the ashlands, you're trekking through the ashlands. It's not like you're thinking to yourself, "Oh God, here's just more ashlands." You're like, "Hey, there's a lot of really cool things here to see." And even though it might be very similar across parts of Vardenfell as far as like geographically, it's still handled very well to keep your interest. And that's what I just didn't like about Skyrim. I feel like they were afraid to make Skyrim one big giant frozen tundra because they're like, well, players are gonna get tired of it. And it's like, well, yeah, you could make different different parts of it where you know there's greenlands and stuff like that, but they really didn't do as much as they could have with how frozen over that landscape is supposed to be. And there's nothing wrong with taking some artistic liberties, with a frozen tundra. Okay, well, if it's just a frozen tundra, yeah, it's gonna be boring. If you have like a huge frozen tundra with a lot going on inside of it, with different types of like ice storms and hailstorms and snowstorms and blizzards, it wouldn't be bad. It would be a good thing. It could make it more unique, really. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Markath, that city Markath. I wouldn't mind seeing it be a giant frozen iceberg, like and have the city built inside of a giant iceberg or something. They could have done that, but they didn't, and that's what's really interesting about Morrowind. Even though you have like the Bitter Coast and the West Gash, and over on the east part, like where the Telvanni lands are, it's not all ashen, but it still retains a bit of that same kind of overall artistic, like, that just around the corner is the Ashlands, and it's not super thriving. The Bitter Coast is a big swamp. It's not like it's bright green and pretty. The Ascadian Isles, same thing. It's only fertile because of the ash from Red Mountain. So I mean, you could totally keep a cohesive kind of theme, like how the ash is kind of like desolation and it's like death, but still build around it. And I just don't think they did that with Skyrim. They made it snowy and then they put some like plains in there and some forests and that was it. But it could have been done way better.
Oh yeah, and to be honest, I could probably complain about the differences between Skyrim and Morrowind all day, but sort of moving
Yeah.
on to the rest of our question list here. What motivated you to join the Tamriel Rebuilt team in the first place?
I think that the thing that motivated me the most was when I saw the old screenshots that were put up on the main page, like way back in the day on the old website. Because I saw these pictures of these different cities and the new armor and weapons, and I was like, I need to do something. I need to help these guys out. I want to be a part of this.
Oh yeah, they had a ton of old and interesting screenshots for Tamriel Rebuilt. I don't know if any of those locations are still in the mod though. Like there was this tavern that was sitting in a tree. I remember seen that screenshot before, but I don't know if that location made it into the game. And then you had all these House Dres settlements, I think they were, with this weird-looking architecture that I think got completely scrapped at some point. And it is kind of interesting seeing how the project has developed over that period of time.
Yeah, yeah. That I think I remember. I know what inn you're talking about, and I don't think it's in the game. It could be, but I'm like 90% sure that it's not. But yeah, it was just seeing those screenshots of what people were already doing that I was like, I wanna help out and I want to be a part of this because I really truly love this game Morrowind so much that I'm willing to put my own time and my own effort into helping this mod out.
Now, sort of going into kind of a broad question here, can you tell us a bit about the structure of Tower Rebuilt? Like, how does the whole thing work, and what's it like to work on a team project of this sort of scale?
Well, the structure of it is finally defined. It was not very solidified in the past, um, just because of the fact that there were quality issues and there were different ideas for what to do. But we have our pipeline set up now. So the structure of it is we want to start with the basics, so concept art and documentation, writing up documents about what different places are going to look like, what they're going to feel like, what they're going to contain, what role they're going to play. And we want to start with, and then we want to move into like building the landscape for it, doing modeling for all of the assets that are needed, and then working on the towns and the cities, and then populating it with NPCs, and then doing quests for it. So I mean, we really just wanted to get a cohesive, definitive idea of our workflow, and we finally got that down. And what it's like to work on the project is that it's fun. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. There we're not nobody's paid to do this, so there's no obligation for anyone. And real life does get in the way a lot of times, but it's really good to know that even if you're gone for years, come back and you're still welcome. There's old members that always pop back in that we haven't seen for a really long time that are just like, yeah, real life got crazy, but I'm still here to help again. And then they can disappear again and pop back in again. So it's just fun to do though. I mean, it truly, if you like the game, which if you're still playing it in 2016, I'm pretty sure you like it. You know what I mean? So if so long as you like the game, it's fun to work on the project. I mean, who wouldn't like to have their ideas and their thoughts implemented into a gigantic mod such as this and to be able to see it in the game world, living and breathing in its own right.
Oh yeah, and that kind of goes back to the root of something I've always said is that modding is fun. What it comes down to is that modding is just a lot of fun to do. Period. It could be like a big project like this, or small projects that you're doing by yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just really fun to do, and I think a lot of people have this sort of concept that it's a lot like work, but it really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it can be stressful and not in a bad way, not like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown." But, you can beat up on yourself about, "Oh, how am I gonna do this?" or "This didn't come out good enough." But that's any artistic process, because that's really all that this is. It's an art form. There's not much difference from loading up the construction set and building something there is from getting a blank canvas and painting on it.
Oh yeah, and moving on to some more specific Tower Rebuilt questions. What would you say is the current focus of Tower Rebuilt? Like, what part of the mainland would you say is the current priority?
The Dresslands. There's a lot of concept art, a lot of discussion, a lot of model making going in right now to the Dresslands, and it's actually coming along really well. We've got a lot of cool concept art. We've got a lot of new flora, and like I was talking about earlier, we have the assets being made for the salt shelves, and we've got the salt crystals, new tile sets for caves and the like, and then the architecture sets as well that are being modeled. So it's coming along really well. That's our main focus right now, and pretty soon, hopefully, there's going to be a lot more claims opened up for people to start building on the actual exterior world space of it. We've got new textures actually too that like new ground textures that we've been working on. And really, the whole idea of the Dresslands is that it's going to be a Morrowind within Morrowind. And what I mean by that is it's going to be more bizarre in there than it is really anywhere else in Morrowind. At least as far as for what you're going to see and how the landscape's going to be. So it's going to be fun. It should be like a refreshing thing for a lot of people that have played the game, years and years ago, and they might come back to it every now and then. But with the Dresslands, it'll be like when they load it up and they go in there, they're gonna be like, "Holy crap! It's like a whole new game."
Oh yeah, the Dres in particular, they're like basically the one great house that we know almost nothing about really. We don't have any real ideas about their culture or their architecture beyond some, vague notions of them being a rather agricultural-based society and being extremely xenophobic. So I guess that leaves a lot of room, really, open to sort of artistic sort of design and creativity.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting lore that we had to come up with. And we have our TR handbook that's on the website, and it has a breakdown of each great house. And we have one for House Dres, and I highly recommend everyone that's listening to this to go on there and take a look through it, because it has a really good overall picture for all of the new lore that we've created, and they're a very interesting culture for sure. Like I would wager to say that there's not going to be any kind of culture like it ever made before in a video game.
Oh yeah, that sounds really fantastic, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of the cities and towns or plantations that we might get to visit on the Tamriel Rebuilt mainland.
Yeah, the dress is interesting because there's not really like towns. They're more like clansteads where they're very similar to Ashlanders, but a little bit more refined. So there's only really two major settlements, like cities, for the dress, and those are the trading cities, and it's really the only place where Outlanders are ever going to be seen. And then you have these clansteads that are much more secluded and a lot more tribalistic than really anywhere else in Morrowind. And so they're not they're thought of as not to be permanent places. Like people are constantly moving and going in and out of them. But yeah, so it's going to be really interesting. Tile sets that are being made for the architecture are really going to be like unique in the sense that you because we kind of had to find like a middle ground for, well, we want something that looks really good but also that fits the overall culture of the dress and their nomadic ways. And I mean, I don't want to spoil too much to be honest with you, but yeah, there's a lot of really cool, and to me it's bizarre, but that's a good thing. Like some bizarre stuff going on with the dress.
Now, that strikes me as kind of an interesting contrast because, southern Morrowind is kind of divided between Great House Halalu, which is a very sort of civilized, traditional cities, very pro Outlander, Imperial influence and trade sort of Great House, and then they have this sort of uh, Ashland and nomadic style Great House, like right alongside of them is. That's going to be a really interesting contrast between their lands.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the Shipal Shin, which is going to be right on the border of the Dresslands, that's going to be even just in itself. It's almost like a buffer zone between the two houses, but that's going to be an amazing, amazing place. We don't have a lot done on it yet, but there is a few kind of like mock-up, like, hey, this is what it could look like, pictures of it, and then like to see how that's going to transition over into the Dresslands, and just to get the contrast between, like you said, you have the House Lalu, which are very imperialized, all about money, and then you have the House Dres that are they're actually they're Daedric worshippers. They acknowledge that the tribunal are real, and they acknowledge that they are an established religion, but they're actually Daedric worshippers, just like how the original Chimer were that came over to Morrowind in the first place through the exodus of Velothi. So there's a lot of differences between like their society and their religious beliefs as well.
Now, that really sounds like a pretty fascinating culture to explore, and I'm particularly looking forward to seeing the city of Tyr, which I guess is going to be one of the trade cities down there in the south.
Yeah, Tyr is going to be one of the only places where you can even really find um, any kind of hospitality like services, at least as an outlander. So that's still got a lot that we need to figure out exactly. We're not that far yet, but we have a general idea of what it's going to function as. And as far as for how it's going to look, I mean, if we've got these tile sets that are being worked on that are 4 tier, and it's gonna be crazy. No doubt. I mean, I'm stoked, man. I'm happy. I'm excited. I think that it's gonna be the most lively time for Tamriel Rebuilt in the upcoming years. A lot of people might think like, oh, they're dwindling down, and they've been going for too long, and there's no drive or motivation. No, man, that's not it at all. I mean, I think that the best is yet to come with Tamriel Rebuilt. Personally, and I think if you ask anyone that works on the project, they'll say the same thing.
Oh yeah, that definitely sounds very exciting, and especially with a bunch of the other areas that are, starting to get finished, like Ban Malar, and oh my, there's so much content yet to come, and obviously Tyr is very far south, so it'll probably be a few years before we see a even semi-finished version of it.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I guess it depends on how many people want to come over and get involved. The more the merrier, always, of course. And now that we've got like our definitive idea for what the Dresslands are going to be like, we can start working on them. And who knows? I think that once Open MW reaches 1.0, there's going to be a really big resurgence of people coming back to Morrowind because they're going to want to check it out. And I personally think that we can draw modders in from Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout. All of these modders that don't want to mod Morrowind because it's old and there's limitations on what they can do. But with OpenCS, there is no limitation anymore. I mean, really, it's an open source engine. So whatever people want to do, they can do. So I think there's going to be a really big resurgence of people coming back to the game. It's going to draw a lot of the modders that are working on these newer games into projects for Morrowind, and I would be surprised if we didn't here at Tamriel Rebuilt. I'd be surprised if we didn't see at least a few faces from these newer games, people in the modding communities of these newer games, come over and want to try it out, and help out.
Oh yeah, Open Morrowind and the Open CS is kind of like the ultimate modding project in terms of unleashing the possibilities and the potential for, expanding Morrowind with the open CS. I mean, world spaces, dynamic water height levels, all the things that we couldn't do before that could be done in the later games, and some things that even the later games can't do, we'll finally be able to do in Morrowind, and the sky is pretty much literally the limit. I think you could even probably build new games using the OpenCS at some point.
Yeah, they have a what I don't know what I would call it, like a distribution pack that is just bare bones that people can use to make their own video games with the open MW engine.
Oh yeah, definitely a very exciting time in the Morrowind community, and going on to a few more of our questions here. A lot of the mainland, particularly the Alpha area, seems to be pretty complete in terms of exteriors. But when might we start seeing some more finished interiors, like in the city of Ban Malor, and could we start seeing them in upcoming releases?
Um, that's a really good question, and for a really definitive answer on it, it's gonna be a while until interiors get done. We are working still on parts of like the Thur River Valley region that don't have completed interiors, and we want to fill that up. But as far as like for more westward, it's gonna be a while because we're focusing on the Dresslands right now. And a big thing that I feel like maybe is a big misconception for a lot of people is that the alpha file is literally just that. It's an alpha file. We released it because people wanted to see like what we were doing, because I think that they thought that maybe we stopped working on the project. So we released the alpha file to show them like, no, we didn't stop working on it. This is how much of the exterior world space is done. But there's not going to be any interiors for it, at least not for a good while, because we're going to work on the Dresslands and do all of that, and then start moving up towards the Lalu lands, and then up into the Redoran region.
Alright, that's kind of an interesting point to make, especially since, it kind of seems like a lot of those cities are already pretty much ready for interiors, like the city of Carter and Ban Milar, obviously, though it does seem like the further north you go with the alpha file, that the exteriors still need a little bit of development work. I think it's somewhere north of Ban Malar. I forget what the region is called. It's still sort of in a development stage right now.
Yeah, and I mean it could always change. I'm not the definitive source or the definitive final word on what's going to be worked on and what isn't. But it's yeah, I mean a lot of these places are done and they're ready for interiors, but it comes down to what our priority is and how many people we have that can work on interiors and exteriors at one time. So I'm sure if we get a huge influx of people that want to be interior modders, I'm sure there'd be no problem with saying, okay, let's open up interior claims for the places more west. But for right now, we're just focusing on the Dresslands, and that's because it's going to be a lot more worth it, though. In the end, I think the Dresslands are going to be so interesting, and so much content is going to be there that it'll give us a lot more time to work on these alpha regions that are already done exterior wise. And we're going to be redoing quite a bit of the exterior world space anyway of the alpha file. As you go more up north, towards the Velothi mountains, all of those pine trees and everything that you see like that's all going to be replaced by more Morrowindish alien flora and stuff like that too. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It's an alpha file for a reason. I mean, it's not done by any means. It's not like, okay, this is the final product, what it's going to look like on the outside. Now we're just going to make interiors for it. There's still things that are going to change for the better.
Speaking of redoing areas, what's going on with Almalexia now? I mean, obviously it was in the planning stage, then it was developed, then it was back in the planning stage, then it was released as part of the alpha, but it's still in the planning stage, and it's supposed to get redone, and, is any progress being made on that, or is the focus just on House Dres right now?
Yeah, I mean, the focus is mainly just on House Dres. We did want to release Almalexia with the alpha release because it is a really, really, really amazing masterpiece of world building. And what it comes down to is that we want to save as much of the content for Almalexia as we can, but it does need a redo just to fit in line with our current vision and the vision that we came up with for the project. But I had said in the interview with Zarek Zahakaron that it is unfortunate because we don't want any modders to feel like their work was for nothing. I mean, Neiman did a huge amount of work on Almalexia, and he was really mad when he found out that hey, we're gonna redo it, which rightfully so. I'd be mad too, you know. But we're still wanting to save as much of that work as we possibly can and just change what needs to be changed to get it in line more with what we truly want to see out of the city. So in the end, it's going to be more worth it, I believe, because it's going to be even more breathtaking than it is now, which isn't to say anything bad about Neiman's work or anyone else's work that worked on Almalexia, but we saw what we could do to make it better, and we're going to do it.
Oh yeah, and going on to another thing that's sort of being redone. We kind of talked about this in our warm-up questions before the interview, but for the sake of the actual interview, what's going on with Akamora? I know there's been discussion about redoing parts of it to sort of make it make more sense.
Yeah, I mean, Akamora is a really, really great city as it is. The thing about it is that there's there's no Lalu or sorry, no Indoro noble that's on the council. Like they don't have a seat on the council, so no noble in that city has a seat on the council, and it's a huge power struggle for these Indoro nobles to try and one up one another so they can have a better shot of being voted into the council to have a seat on there. So the way that it is now, there's that central spire, I guess you could say, or that central rock formation where all of the Indoro nobles are living at. And what we're going to do is we're going to have it broken up to make more sense, where there's almost like different districts or sections for these really powerful Lalu nobles that are all competing against each other, and then we're gonna rework the egg mines as well, so it makes more sense. And it's kind of like each Indoral noble that has the most influence going to be trying to kind of like take out the competition. So we're just gonna redo the city so that it just makes more sense, and it'll be good though. I mean it's gonna it's gonna retain the beauty that it has. It's just gonna be even better.
Well, I certainly hope so. Akamora is one of the most fantastic looking cities on the Morrowind mainland right now, I think, right now. And it's personally one of my favorite vacation spots. When I go to the mainland, it's like I always want to go to Akamora just to enjoy the scenic sights.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. They're really interesting lands. Like it's probably one of my favorite regions on the mainland to go. For the Mifflin Mountains and the Mephalin Valley, it's just really well done. And I mean, just the city itself is beautiful, but when it's said and done, it's still gonna look really good, and I would say it's gonna look even better. I mean, there's also we want to redo Helnim as well, because as Helman is right now, it makes no sense. Like, why is there an imperial settlement right next to a Telvanni tower? It doesn't fit the character of House Telvanni. Like, the House Telvanni would never let that happen. Whether the Telvanni Tower was there first, and then the Imperials started building next to it, or the Imperial settlement was there first, and a Telvanni master came in and decided to grow a tower right next to it. It just makes no sense. So we're going to redo that as well at some point, so that it just makes more sense and it's more logical.
Oh yeah, Hellman always sort of confused me a bit. I think there's a bit of dialogue about there being some sort of conflicts and sort of cohabitation between the Imperials and the Telvanni, but It's always been a bit of an odd city, though it wouldn't be entirely unprecedented for a Telvanni master to build a tower near something imperial. I mean, that's basically Tel Voss right there.
Yeah, that's true, but Tel Voss is different because he went in and he found this fort and took it over, you know? Whereas for Helnim, it's like there's because the Telvanni don't want anyone knowing their business. They don't want anyone disrupting their research. They don't want to deal with anyone. Like that's the overall theme of House Telvanni is that you have the Telvanni masters that do what they want to do and they don't care about anything else. Like these cities just kind of spring up at the base of their towers and they don't even care. That city could be there or not. It makes no difference to them. And so that's why it's like, well, why is there this giant imperial settlement right next to this Telvanni tower? It just doesn't make any sense really. And so we wanna make sure that we can keep true to our own characterization because we've spent so many hours getting the characterization down for each faction and each great house. So just to have it make more sense, you know, we're gonna redo things that kind of stand out as being odd.
Now, will that have a huge effect on the Telvanni main quest? Now, I can't quite recall, but I think part of it's already sort of implemented into the Tamriel Rebuilt releases, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why it really won't have a huge effect on it. And that's why like a lot of people kind of one of their main complaints that they have about Morrowind Rebuilt is they're like, well, you know, there is quests in there and they're really good, but we want to see more. And we came to the decision that it's best just to build everything first, so that way we have an overall like portrait that we can look at and start making quest lines that intermingle and go from one side of the province to the other, and that would make more sense and be more fluid, you know, and so that's it shouldn't be a huge issue though with what's already there. If anything needs to be reworked, we will rework it, but that's actually a really good point that you bring up. That's one of the reasons why you don't see us making all these quest lines and stuff like that right now because we want to have all of the framework done first.
Now, sort of going on to new releases, you mentioned earlier that there's a new release coming up later this month, I think. And when do you think that's going to be due exactly? And what all is planned to be included?
Well, you know, that's our release schedule. We wanted to do every 3 months, so there'd be quarterly releases. As far as what's planned to be included, I know that we redid some stuff with Old Ebonheart that Nomi worked on. It's gonna actually make it. It made the entire city look way nicer, I think. Um, and we kind of played around with some stuff in the Thur River Valley region. We're actually wanting to do a little bit of a update on that, and then other than that, though, I mean, really, it's going to come down to if we start working on these on the dress lands or not. And for the release date for it, I mean, it should be this month. Something could always happen, you know, but we're striving for every 3 months to come out with another release.
So, anyway, going on to some recruitment questions. If someone wants to join up with Tamriel Rebuilt, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, they should really sit down and decide whether or not they're ready to commit 100%, you know, all of their free time. And no, I'm just kidding. But first thing to do is just look through our handbook. The handbook is got information on everything, from like how to create a showcase to how all of the different factions and great houses are fleshed out to like if you want specific things. Do you want to do concept art? Do you want to do modeling? Do you want to do interiors, exteriors, dialogue, quests? In our handbook, we have information on all of that. It's a powerful resource for even for the regulars. I mean, I still go and look at it every now and then to kind of make sure and get an idea of what's all going on as far as you know, what are we expecting for quests? what are we expecting out of each great house, like their characterization. So first thing to do is to just go. It's right on our homepage. You go to Tamriel-Rebuilt.org, and when you're on the homepage, all you have to do is up on the top. There's media, downloads, development, community, wiki, and about. And on the development, if you just hover your mouse over it, the first thing right there is the TR handbook, and you can click on it. It'll pop up everything that you could possibly need. It's got about us, it's got the modders guide, and it's got the lore and planning documents on there. And a lot of work has gone into every single section on the handbook. So yeah, go in there, check it out, read through it, see what sparks your interest, because we have a lot of people that do multiple things. We have people that do concept art and modeling, and they do interior work, or they'll do dialogue and quests, or scripting, or modeling. So whatever strikes your fancy. I mean, we've got guides on all of it, on what we expect, as far as like quality wise, but also what we want people to kind of be expecting from themselves as well. Just I mean, we try to make it as easy as possible, but just read through the handbook and do a showcase if it's something that requires a showcase. If you want to do some concept art, me personally, I don't care if you doodle something on a barred napkin. If you want to put it on there, we will never tell anybody no.
Well, since you bring it up, the Tamriel Rebuilt Handbook, that's a fairly recent addition to the website, isn't it? And from what you said, I gather there's a bunch of modder tutorials on there that potential new modders might be able to use to get an idea of what needs to be done with Tamriel Rebuilt.
Yeah, we have tutorials, we have intro into the modding. For Morrowind, we have showcasing guidelines, the concept art guidelines. Like I said, just like what we kind of we put it out there so people know, okay, well, this is really like how our workflow is. So just expect that. But then we also have like progress reports on there as well, showing like what we're currently doing. Yeah, I mean, I think that it should be the first stop for anybody who's new. Um, Maybe stop by the forums to introduce yourself and stuff like that, but totally take a read through everything that we have on there. There's a lot of stuff on there, no doubt, but it's all very valuable information.
Now, are there any particular recommendations you can give new modders with regards to, making their first showcase, like things that typically get overlooked by first timers, like maybe item rotation in interior showcases and things like that?
Yeah, there is an interior showcase guidelines section specifically set up for that. The main thing that people need to definitely do for a showcase for an interior is to use the a specific furniture type. It's called fern underscore DE underscore P. And the reason why is because the furniture is not even. There's like it's kind of got like dips and cracks in it, and we look for that because it shows like a master of the positioning and rotation on those surfaces. If you can get a gold coin to sit perfectly on some of that fern DEP furniture, then you're good to go. Like, I mean, because it's not hard to do, but it just shows that you really do have an understanding of how to do item rotation and item placement. And that's the one thing that is kind of overlooked sometimes is people will place items on this furniture set, and it's usually always floating if they just try to F it down. You press the F button and it's supposed to like drop an item right onto the surface below it. But you got to really go in there and have a keen eye to make sure that it sits properly with that furniture type.
Oh god, the DP furniture. I really, really hate that furniture. I avoid it like the plague. I mean, it's time consuming to work with because of those uneven surfaces. I honestly don't know what the developers were thinking when they made them.
Yeah, no, I know, but that's why like we kind of look for it, because if you can do like good item placement and item rotation on that, then everything else is 1,000 times easier. So
Oh yeah, and that's kind of an understatement really. Everything is easy compared to DP furniture.
Yeah, and as far as but I mean, as far as like for your showcase and stuff like that, really, it's not like a huge thing. You know, we help people out. We'll go in there, we'll review it, we'll show you, hey, this can be fixed or that can be fixed, and then when it's all good, you get promoted, and then you can just start doing, whatever strikes you as something that's interesting. And I mean, I think that might be the thing is that maybe some people have a stigmatism towards like, oh, I got to do a showcase and it's not gonna be good enough, or this and that and that and this. It's like, hey man, like you could come up with a million reasons to not do it, but if it's truly something you want to do, just go ahead and do it, and we'll help you out along the way. If it's something that you have to learn to do the rotation and the placement of those items on that furniture, it's not that big of a deal. But it's fun, once you get the hang of it, you can really bust out really really fun work. We have some very talented interior modders that do fantastic dungeons like caves and ruins and all of the interiors. I mean, if you really take a look at the interiors for cities that we're doing now compared to the older stuff that you see in Telvannis, there's a huge difference between it. At least I think so. Not to say, like I said, that anything in Telvannis is bad, but we've totally just kind of upped our quality of our standards of quality, and it creates a lot more immersive of a world as well. So there's definitely some help that you can get though from us along the way.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Haplo about this like last year, and I believe the restrictions on showcases have been, loosened somewhat. I mean, there used to be the old, three strikes rule where you had to submit a new showcase uh, if it failed the review like three times or something like that. I don't know if that rule was ever actually enforced though.
Yeah, it was enforced actually, but it's not like that anymore. I mean, we want to just help people, and that's really what it comes down to. So, if you have any kind of inkling towards wanting to mod for Morrowind, or even if you want to mod for any game really, but you want to start out with Morrowind, you can do a showcase, and we'll help you out for sure. We'll show you, step by step, like, hey, make sure that you have your rotation settings set to like 0.01, and make sure that you do this and that, and this is the easiest way to get the rotations down on these types of surfaces. I mean, everyone that mods for Tamriel Rebuilt is like a veteran. They have like a vast wealth of modding knowledge. So I suggest people come in just to take advantage of it. If anything, submit your showcase and see kind of like, all the little tiny things that are kind of hard for people to grasp on when they're first modding. We'll go and we'll help you out along the way so that you have a better understanding of it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a great learning opportunity, and I was kind of wondering, what's the biggest field that Tamriel Rebuilt needs new modders in right now? I mean, I know obviously you guys need a ton of modders in every field, but if you had to choose, which field would you think that Tamriel Rebuilt needs the most modders in right now? Like quests, interiors, exteriors, or 3D asset creators?
Everything, literally everything, because there's never enough people in any one apartment. I don't care if we have 500 people that are making interiors, we can always use more. And I mean, it's just comes down to the fact that the more the merrier. We like to have fun too on the forums. It's not like you're going into work, we like have fun, we chat, we'll talk about all different types of stuff. But as far as for the people that we need for recruitment wise, in every single aspect, I'm like I said, I don't care if you draw something down on a bar napkin and it's crumpled up and it's got stains on it and it's been in your back pocket for 5 years. Go ahead and scan it and upload it. Like, we can always use any kind of creative input from any kind of person. I don't care what your background is. If you've ever modded for a game before, I don't even care if you've ever played Morrowind before. So long, so long as you've got the dedication towards wanting to help out, or you've got the drive or the artistic ability, any single department we use people in at all times.
Oh yeah, and it's especially important to note that a lot of this is pretty easy to do. Like interior design, I mean, it might take a little while to get used to, but at the end of the day, designing an interior isn't particularly difficult. So there's no real reason, not to pick up the modding tools and try and cut your teeth with a showcase or two.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, that's very true, and that's why I think that there might be like a stigmatism towards it. 'Cause, it for a lot of people, they might look at it and be like, "I can't do that," but no, that's just an excuse. You can always do it. I'm like I said, I'm not a very good modder, like 3D modeling wise or scripting wise or anything like that, but I still help out in any way that I can. And so, no matter what your strength or weakness is, if you want to come in and if you've got a desire to see whatever kind of artistic stuff that's going on in your brain, if you want to see it come to life, come to our forums, come join us, sign up, and we'll help you along the way. The easy part is signing up and getting ready for an interior. The hard part is just really actually doing it. But once you're signed up, it's super fun, super super easy to get into it, and like I said, you get to see your own vision come to life. Like there's nothing better than that. I think, at least, there's think of the people that are driving the Ferrari, and then think of the people that design the Ferrari. The people that design the Ferrari are probably having way more fun than the people that are driving it.
Oh yes, very true. It's always, in my opinion, more fun to actually mod the game than to play it. I mean, I spend way more time working on mods than I do actually playing Morrowind at this point. And I think that's true with pretty much every modder I've ever met.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you like to, me, I like to take breaks and actually just play the game. I'll get super involved and help out as much as I can. But then, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna take some time to actually enjoy this because I'm working on it. So, but I mean, I meant the analogy more in the fact that, like, it makes it that much more enjoyable to play the game once you see your work in it. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely true. And going into this next question, what's the most important thing for new modders to keep in mind when making claims on the project? Possibly for the first time. I mean, I know there used to be a rule that you needed to make a progress update, every month on your claim, and is that something that new modders still need to do?
Well, yeah, we want progress updates just to make sure that people are still working on the claim, because if they're not working on it and it just sits there, it'll never get done. But the biggest rule is to just have fun.
Now, something I saw with the most recent update to the Tamriel Rebuilt website. I mean, I know you guys went through this whole major website redesign, and I noticed that Tamriel Rebuilt has posted a new asset browser. And can you tell us a bit about that and how it functions exactly?
Yeah, the asset browser is really, really cool. I actually was surprised when it when it kind of popped up, because I wasn't 100% even sure that it was going to be put in, like when it got put in. But the asset browser is really kind of interesting tool for people to be able to get more of a idea of where we're at project, and also to get an idea of what they can do. I think that the biggest thing is for people to get inspiration. They need to see something that inspires them, and the asset browser can really help with that.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a pretty interesting and useful tool for organizing and gathering assets for the project.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's things from like literature in there to quest design to miscellaneous items and flora, and it just makes it easy for people all you have to do is just click on the title, and the actual assets are right there. You can download it, you can look at it, but it also helps it keep organized as well. So that way, like I said, people can see what we're working on, what kind of what progress or status it's in, whether it's been designed or it's just proposed. So like whether it's just like an idea that somebody's brought up, or whether it's pending review. So it's done and it's just waiting to get put in the game.
Now, sort of on a similar note, I was kind of curious, are there any plans to potentially use assets from Project Outlander in Tamriel Rebuilt at some point? I mean, the Ink Bunny mentioned recently that Tamriel Rebuilt would be welcome to use any of the 700 or so models, which is an insane number, by the way, that have currently been developed for Project Outlander, assuming, typical credits, guidelines, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, London Rook, man, he's crazy. He is like an incredibly talented guy, and I'm like blown away by how quick he is too. Like that dude's lethal. He's a lethal weapon for if because he can do it professionally. And for if he does ever end up doing it professionally, whatever company gets him in their ranks, man, lethal. He's a lethal weapon. He's very refined, super cool guy, and he knows what he's doing, and he's got a really really good mindset about it. And to be to be honest with you, I've tried to get him a couple of times. I've been like, "Hey man, come on, just come over to the forums, because I want him with us. Like he's lethal, man. He's a deadly weapon. He's like a freaking rocket launcher in a room full of china plates. You know what I mean? So I've tried to to get him to come over, and he actually said that he might eventually because he wants to play through Tamriel Rebuilt when he gets some free time. But yeah, he said that we're welcome to use any of the assets that he's created. But the thing is, there's so many of them that I kind of want to find a way to get like a comprehensive like list of what he has with pictures of them. But yeah, definitely want to use some of the stuff that he's created, man. That guy's awesome though. I totally recommend people checking out his stream. He streams on Twitch. It's twitch.com/London Rook, ROOK. Really great guy.
Oh yeah, his productivity levels are completely insane. I mean, it was just like the other week he showed me his plans to expand Vivek, and one of the things I was concerned about was like, oh, this is going to add at least 200 interiors to the city. This is like something that'll take years. And then he was like, oh no, it'll take about 4 months. And I was like, 4 months to do 200 interiors by yourself? It's like I've never heard of productivity levels that are this high before in any modding project.
Yeah, yeah, dude. London Rook, if you're listening to this interview, bro, brother, get a donation button set up on your freaking Twitch stream, man. You need to do it because I told him I was like, bro, where do I send you money? Like I want to give this guy money because he's that good. Like let me throw my money at you, man. Because that's how good he is. So if you're listening, dude, get that donation button put up on there, man. Come on. You're totally worth it, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, the amount and sheer quality of the work that he's doing, and even the entire concept of streaming your development work on Twitch. It's really quite brilliant, I think.
Yeah, man. I mean, it just lets us know that he's about his business. He's like a very goal-oriented guy. But like I said, he's super nice too. He's so cool. You go in there on his stream and he'll talk to everyone, man. He's super involved with his chat while still staying really, really productive. So I don't know how he does it. I think honestly he might be some kind of like alien life form that just came down here just to like check in on us, but no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, if anything, go check out his stream. But also, London Rook, if you're listening to this, man, come stop by our forums. I promise you it won't keep you hostage, but I totally want him to work with us. And I think that he's just amazing. He's an awesome guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, considering how much he gets done, it's like if he were to join one of the province teams, it's like that province would probably be done in just a couple of years or something like that. But anyway, sort of going on to another one of the projects outside of Tower Rebuilt. With the current progress on Open Morrowind, are there any particular features or system mechanics that Tower Rebuilt might take advantage of once Open Morrowind 1.0 gets released?
Yeah, the different water levels for exteriors, super super needed. Because of just the way that the Boitayan Mountains is set up, and there's some bodies of water that are completely like plain meshes, And I mean, it just when we get that functionality for different water heights in the exterior world space, we're just gonna have to like it's gonna make it so much easier for us, you know?
Oh yeah, I remember especially like I think it's in the Velothian Mountains. There's this huge mountain river stream that goes by a Redoran town of some kind, and it doesn't look quite as good with the water meshes there. I mean, it still looks really impressive, but having that be real, actual water would definitely make a huge difference.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we're really, really looking forward to. I mean, overall, I'm just looking forward to the project as a whole. But for Tamriel Rebuilt, as far as like the implications that we're facing now, that's like the a really big hurdle that I can't wait for us to be able to finally jump over it.
Alright, that pretty much wraps up my Tower Rebuilt related questions. So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about with regards to Tower Rebuilt and the project?
Yeah, I just want to let people know that we're still here and we're still working, and I'm definitely trying my best to help us get our name out there more. I did a pretty long interview with Xerix, the hacker, on talking about Tamriel Rebuilt, telling people just come over. Whether you're gonna work on the project or you just want to stop by and see what we're up to, you know, people on the forums is good. So everyone that's listening to this right now, open up a new tab, type in Tamriel-rebuilt.org and get to work, man. Talk to us. Let us know your thoughts, whether or not you like something or hate something. Just let us know because that's what we need. We need like a large amount of people that are actually playing this mod to come in here and tell us what we can do because hey man, we'll do it. We're here to, like I said, help you guys out, and we want to make it enjoyable for us and for everyone that's going to be paying the final product. So everyone that's listening, go over there right now, join up on the forums. It takes like 5 seconds to do. And if you've got any kind of questions or concerns about the project, we'll answer them. If you've got any kind of uh, inkling to want to start modding, just come in, talk to us. We'll walk you through the whole thing, man. You'll be a modding machine by the time that you're done talking with us.
Alright, and going into our last couple of questions here, are there any mods outside of Tower Rebuilt in the community that you're kind of looking forward to, maybe upcoming releases like Melkor's Lithodonia or something like that?
Yeah, Lithodonia totally. Oh man, Melkor is like super crazy modder too. I was really really impressed with some of the recent screenshots that he put out for that mod, and I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to um, the Mackham's head pack to get finished up. Looking forward to Robert's bodies getting finished up as well. Those are like the two big things for me because I like to play my game as vanilla as possible. So for me to actually like want to replace the heads and the bodies in the game, it's a big thing for me. Just because of the fact that the quality of work that Mackham did is really really phenomenal. It's super super good. So I'm really really stoked about that. I'm always looking forward to Tidy's textures. That guy is just a genius when it comes to texturing. Um, Same thing. I really don't like to deviate from vanilla Morrowind, but he makes me do it. You know what I mean? Like he's got the product there that I honestly can't believe that his work is as good as it is. Of course, with Peterbit as well, always looking forward to the next models that he's going to come out with. He's a super, super talented guy. Um, and looking forward to Open MW. I always look forward to mods for Skyrim as well. I really like Requiem. I think that it's a really great mod for Skyrim. There's the mods that are like Frostfall that they've got huge updates coming out. I'm always looking forward to stuff like as well. Things that just make the downfalls or the overlooks of Skyrim a lot more better, a lot more playable of a game. So I'm looking forward to those. But biggest things I'm looking forward to is for Melkir's Lithodonia, and I'm looking forward to the next textures from Tidy or titty. Sorry, I'm not sure which one it is. And then of course, I'm always looking forward to see what kind of new models Peterbit comes out with, and waiting for Macam as well to get the last of the heads put up.
Oh yeah, Peterbit makes some pretty amazing models. The Scamp Replacer is, pretty insanely detailed, and I'm not really positive yet, but I'm pretty sure he's a favorite to win again with the Morrowind Moddathon month modding competition again this year. That'll be his second win so far.
Yeah, yeah, dude. He is deadly, deadly good. I mean, yeah, this guy's like a weaponized Ebola bomb. You know what I mean? Like but he's very talented. Has a really, really good eye for detail as well. And same thing. Like I said with Ink Bunny. I mean, Peterbit, he do any company that gets him in their ranks, freaking, they're gonna just be winning at whatever it is that they have him do. He's a really talented modeler.
Now, finally, is there anyone in the community or on the Tamriel Rebuilt team that you'd particularly like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean everyone, man, everyone that's still modding this game. It takes a lot of passion to mod a game this old. So, even if you're making mods and not releasing them, they're just for personal use. Kudos to everyone, and I think that it's a beautiful community that we have, a really tight knit community, and I want to see everyone, every single person that's out there that's on this video game. I want everyone from the different subreddits. I want everyone from different countries. I want those Rest Day and Revival guys. I want all of these people to come over to our forums and say what's up, just so we can thank them for what they're doing and get to talking with them, and especially Inkley. For real, London Rook, come over to our forums, man. Like I said, it's all right. I won't hold you. I won't hold you hostage there. You can leave whenever you want, but really, just come over so we can talk to you, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. And well, I guess that pretty much wraps up all the questions I have for you. So, thanks again for agreeing to do this interview.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. Like I said, I just really love spreading the word about Tamriel Rebuilt and letting people know that we're still here and we're still going to work every day. We've got stuff going on, and I mean, really, to everyone, every single one of you that's taking the time out of your day to listen to this thing, man, this is the best time to get involved with our project, because we have got so much going on right now. It's a great time to get in and learn to mod if you don't know how to, or if you can mod, to contribute. But yeah, thanks for having me though. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and definitely Tamriel Rebuilt deserves all the attention it can possibly get. I mean, really, I kind of think it's a bit criminal that the gaming press these days doesn't cover Tamriel Rebuilt as much as they cover projects like Skywind. I mean, no offense to Skywind, it's a great project, but Tamriel Rebuilt is just as impressive and also quite historical with how many years it's been running.
Yeah, well, I mean, the good thing about Skywind is that they've got a really good public relations kind of setup. So that's the only thing, is just that TR, we're all kind of like old grumpy modders and stuff like that. But we can certainly get just as much coverage as them. That's the thing. I think there's a huge amount of people out there that aren't aware that we even exist. I mean, there's a huge amount of people that know that we exist, and I appreciate every single one of you. But there's also a lot of people that don't know that we exist. And so all it takes is for us to kind of get out there a little bit more, and who knows what kind of gaming presses will pick us up and be like, whoa, we had no idea this existed. So, that's what I'm saying. Everyone come over, and if you go to any kind of forums that are about video games, link our website, show people what we're doing. We've got YouTube videos that we're going to be coming out